Welcome back to a special episode of the Outsider Sports Baseball Podcast. Corey, Jason, Dylan, Mel, John Pauline there, all in black. John, before we really get into this World Series preview between the Diamondbacks and the Rangers, the floor is yours. Let's eulogize the Phillies.
I mean, they started at a rough start to the season. They came back, made got the top wild card spot, swept the Marlins, stunned the Braves again 2 years in a row, which I'm very happy about. But, couldn't get it done against the Diamondbacks. I mean, what can I say? I mean, Philly, biggest thing I think they did was Phillies left a lot of runners in scoring position. They just couldn't get guys
If you
in
had to single out one person and say it's your fault, who would it be?
for the Diamondbacks.
No. For the
Just
Phillies,
for the
who do
Phillies,
you
I mean, for the
blame?
Phillies
There's got to
losing.
be one person you blame more than anybody.
I know who I'd blame.
I mean, you want to blame Kimbrel
Yeah, that's who
because
I'd
you want to
blame.
blame him.
I think that's probably a
I
great
think
person to
that would
blame.
be probably the one to blame, but more so, I think it's I think it's just the team just not getting runners in from not hitting runners in from scoring position. They just can't. They just couldn't produce runs. It was home run or nothing.
As a Yankees fan, me and Corey know what
It's,
that feels
it's
like.
home run or nothing.
How
But
depressing do you think it was having to degrease the poles on Tuesday morning?
they'll probably leave them there. I mean, with the Eagles doing so well.
I
Yeah,
don't
but
think
like
that grease is
that's
going
for
to last until
special. That's like for
February.
special moments. The
I
pole
don't
greasing.
know. The Philadelphia sports fans can be kind of crazy. So I mean, I don't know.
Like you would have needed it in New York if the Knicks beat the Celtics. They would have needed the greased poles because that would have been like their championship.
Sometimes you might need it when the Eagles beat the Cowboys.
No, that's pretty regular occurrence there,
I
John.
don't know, but they
Yeah,
get excited.
yeah.
I
Not
mean, the
not
Eagles get
pole
excited when
climbing
they beat the
excited.
Giants, and I'm pretty sure the Giants haven't beaten them in a real game in 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's still going to be depressing. I mean, that they lost. I mean, they were in the World Series last year and they lost, and then this year they were just one game away and they just couldn't get that win. But I can live with it. I mean, I can live with it because the Astros lost too, and the Phillies beat the Braves again. And I mean, in my lifetime, I already got to see them win one World Series in 2008, which is a lot more than a lot of people can say about their teams. So
Yeah,
I can live with it.
I know you're the
2009.
question guy, Corey, but I
2009.
Oh, 2009, my bad.
No.
no
That's when the
no
Yankees beat the
Oh,
Phillies.
Yeah, I
that.
know you're the question guy, Corey, but I do have a question for John because I know me and Corey could do a whole separate podcast about what the Yankees offseason needs to look like in terms of changes. For the Phillies, is there anything you want to change, or is it kind of just a run it back and hopefully the bats hit next year?
Um, I mean, for the most part, you want to run it back and run it back and hope the bats hit for next year. But I mean, I think if anything, they need to look at adding like relief pitching and maybe get like an actual bona fide closer somewhere. Just
Aroldis Chapman, free agent. Just
they
saying.
need to get a bona fide closer and maybe pick up another starting pitcher.
Well,
But
Nola is a free agent.
I mean, they got to sign him. I mean, I think, and then Wheeler's up after next year, I think too. But I mean, if you can, you want to sign Nola again. And I think the biggest thing though is you want to get your relief pitching. You want a bona fide closer.
What do you do about first base? Do you bring back Rhys Hoskins? Does Harper become the full time first baseman? What would you prefer?
Well, the lineup they have now, I like quite a bit. Like defensive wise, I mean, could take Schwarber out of left field, and because he's kind of a liability in there when you have him out playing defense. So like him DHing is perfect. But and Harper at first base, he's not not the best first baseman ever, but I think as he plays it, he can learn and get better at. But I think at this moment, Hoskins coming off an injury. I mean, it'd be sad to let him go, but I think at this point, I think unless you can sign him back for cheap, I mean, I think it's time to part ways with him and just go rock with the lineup they have now.
Now, moving off the Phillies, I do have another question for you guys. Define a dynasty. What does it mean to be a dynasty? What do you have to achieve?
In baseball terms, it's a little different. I would say winning a World Series or two in about a 5-year span is a good run. But Dynasty, you probably have to have been to 4 or 5 in a 10-year run.
How many do you have to win though?
You probably got to win 2 or 3. I wouldn't say anything more than that. I'm trying to think about. I feel like I know where you're going with this, so I don't want to
Oh,
say that
I am
specific team.
telegraphing
So
it.
maybe like the San Antonio Spurs, in basketball, they won in 03, they won in 05, they won in 07. So that's 3 titles in 5 years there. And then they won a couple. They won in 99. It's definitely a lot of winning.
I mean, the
Um,
Chiefs in the NFL are a team that are approaching that dynasty.
Yeah, here's the thing, and maybe this will answer your question. If the Chiefs just suddenly lost Patrick Mahomes and stopped going to Super Bowls, I'd probably call the last 5-year run like a dynasty. That was the Chiefs' time.
But I
I
would
don't
call
know.
it a dynasty in the most basic sense. Like it doesn't deserve to be in the same tier as what the Patriots have done.
Yeah,
And I
for
feel
sure.
like
Because
that's
the
what
Patriot
dynasty
dynasty extended 15 years.
right,
I
and I
feel
feel like
like you
that's what
have to
dynasty
exclude the
should be
Patriots.
reserved for.
But I feel like the Patriots, I feel like that was just such an outlier. Like I don't know if that should be like, if other dynasties should be compared to that.
Right. Well, even in baseball, we can compare like the Yankees dynasty in the '90s, like the whole basically Jeter career. If you want to call that an outlier, then you kind of have Boston from '04 to 13. I would consider a dynasty.
Yeah, I was gonna say, would you,
Yeah.
like, because for the Yankees, you won a lot early in Jeter's career, and then the one in 09. But does the dynasty stretch from 96 to 09?
I mean, I think you could because it's the same core, which I think is
And
fair
they were still, in
producing.
ALCSs, in that time. It wasn't like they just fell off.
Right. So I guess this brings me to my question that is, not hard to guess. With the Astros losing in the ALCS to the Rangers, Dusty Baker going off in retirement, it does seem like we're getting towards the end of this run from Houston. Correa's now been gone. Seems like guys are getting older, not producing as well. Bregman isn't what he was. Altuve is still Altuve, but it's like a whole new guard. Can we consider the Astros a dynasty where they only won one legitimate championship and one tainted championship and had a lot of, CS and World Series losses? Because those losses, I think, hurt their chance at a dynasty more than helped their case.
Yeah, I think ultimately, maybe right now, asking that question, you'll get some no's. In 10 years, it'll be a consensus yes. Right? 7 straight ALCSs. It'll be 2 World Series, the same way that the Patriots are a real good comparison. Spygate in 04, Deflategate in, what was that, 14, somewhere
I
around
always
there.
thought Deflategate was BS, though.
I thought Deflategate was BS too, but there's still Spygate in there.
Yeah,
2 cheating allegations probably are equal to 1 confirmation, right?
I
I don't
think
know
that's a
how
good
exactly it
equation,
works,
good
but
conversion rate.
I'm not sure if that's it. But what the Astros did, and the fact that after the cheating, there was still continued success. I think that's, for me,
Right.
what sends it home as a yes. If after they were caught cheating, it was just all downhill and they couldn't win and produce at that level, I think maybe I'd go, I don't
That's what
know.
bothered me the most about the cheating, though, because they didn't need to. They were so talented, and
Mhm.
they still went ahead and cheated. You see what they did without the cheating, and they never needed to. But I feel like their whole run is almost tainted, if not invalidated, because you do have that cheating that extends beyond 2017. There's allegations of it in 18 and in 19 that
Yeah.
there's still a little bit
For,
of whispers going on that they could have been doing something a little wrong.
for me, I think it'll be looked back on as just a successful team, with kind of the asterisks there, the same way that we look at some of the steroid stuff, where
Yeah,
everybody acknowledges Barry Bonds, A-Rod, great players, but there's a little bit of an asterisk.
we're going to
And as
build more
time
on
goes
that though in the
on,
off season too, because we're going to talk a lot about the Hall of Fame balloting and some of these guys. So we'll get really into that steroid talk too. John, what do you think though?
but as time goes on, like Dylan was saying, like even with like the cheating, with the Astros. I mean, as time goes on, like it somehow just kind of gets forgotten, or it's like more accepted and less forever. I mean, like even with all like this 3,000 of the steroid guys, like it's like almost like I wouldn't be surprised. Like it seems like the more and more younger, sports
Yeah.
writers and fans are just seem more acceptant of it and aren't as mad about it and kind of think that it was okay.
Time heals all wounds,
So
John.
I mean, with the Astros, I mean, even though the cheating stuff, I mean, look at the Patriots and stuff. I mean, it's still brought up and stuff, but the actual sports writers, the media and stuff, they kind of just ignore it,
Yeah,
and
I
they kind of
mean,
just they sweep that
Yep.
stuff under the rug.
Tom Brady still looked at as the GOAT,
Yeah, they
and he
they
was
sweep
involved
it
in
under the
2
rug.
cheating scandals, and technically he was found guilty in one of them.
Yeah, but I mean, they sweep it under the rug. They sweep it under the rug and stuff, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, the fans will know about that asterisk and stuff, and there'll be questions around it. But like
Yeah.
in overall sports history, they're going to be looked at as a good team, like a dynasty.
Now, where do the Astros go from here, though? Again, their manager, Dusty Baker, was kind of brought in after AJ Hinch was fired to kind of navigate this uncertainty with that whole cheating scandal. And he was, one of the most, if not the most respected man in all of baseball. I personally think he lost a little bit of respect going there. I think the Astros needed to get humbled, and I don't think they ever were. And
Yeah,
that is something that has bothered me a lot with this whole situation is they were basically let off scot-free. They never got any legit punishment. The players never did. People who didn't need to lose their jobs lost their job. Like I don't think Cora needed to get fired, then rehired in Boston. Hinch, another guy, like don't just make the manager the scapegoat, but he's doing good things in Detroit. But where do the Astros go? Again, the Rangers beat them in the playoffs, their division rival. They're in the World Series. The Mariners have had a better record these last 3 years than every team that has won the NL pennant. Better record than the Diamondbacks, better record than the Phillies last year, better record than the Braves the year before in those seasons. And I believe they missed the playoffs in 2 of those 3 seasons as well. So it also shows some imbalance between the leagues. But where do the Astros go? Are they still a perennial World Series contender? Or is this kind of the back end of this run where they'll still win, they'll compete a little bit, but as time goes on and the years go by, it's just going to be, oh, it's the Astros, but, this is the new hot team we're following.
yeah. I mean, it's the back end, but the Warriors won a title on their back end. The Astros could do it again. You still have Jordan, Javier, some young pieces there for
Jordan is
sure.
so good.
Altuve, that hitting is going to be there for probably the next 3 or 4 years, even if he loses the fielding. Bregman, he's still one of the game's best third basemen. You might lose Abreu, you might lose Verlander. There might need to be some retooling. And I know this isn't something that John wants to hear, but we just talked about Aaron Nola. Maybe you lose Verlander, you go bring in an Aaron Nola. Like the Astros have proven through free agency that they are still a destination.
Yeah.
And maybe that was Dusty Baker because he's kind of a player's guy, but maybe it's just the Astros. And if you're going to play there, you're going to be in playoff meaningful baseball.
I mean, I agree with Dylan. I mean, I think it's definitely toward the back end of it, but the Astros and stuff. But I mean, I think they're still going to be around competing and making the playoffs for a few more years at least, like minimum and stuff. And it might even be more depending on like, who they're able to bring into the team now that Dusty Baker's gone. I mean, you can see them keep continuing doing well and winning, more ALSs and be going to more World Series.
Gun to the head, do the Astros win their division next year? If you had to answer that right now,
No.
do
No.
they come in second?
It's so to answer your question, I just think the field is so stacked that I very easily would bet the field, right? With like you mentioned, the Mariners, the Rangers who are now in the World Series. Do the Angels keep Ohtani? Do they retool around there? I don't know what happens yet that I'd be willing to bet the field.
Does Moneyball come back?
If you had to have me guess right now, I would guess they are a top 2 seed. So I would say yes to second.
I'd also say yes to second.
I think second or third is more likely than first,
Yeah.
and probably second is more likely than the rest.
I'm a huge Seattle stan.
I mean,
America's team. I mean, come on.
Astros
I think
barely
they
got
might get
first this
Shohei.
year.
I've been saying Shohei to Seattle for months now. I think that is a match made in heaven. but we will talk about that in a few weeks. But now that we're kind of done talking the losers, let's talk about the winners, the pennant winners. We have possibly the most random World Series matchup in who knows how long, since maybe like the Mets and Royals, because you have the Rangers who their only real World Series appearances were that back-to-back 2010-2011 run with Josh Hamilton and Elvis Andrus and
Adrian Beltre.
Adrian Beltre, Nelson Cruz,
Those
Michael
teams gave the
Young.
Yankees fits, man.
And then on the flip side, the D-backs haven't made the World Series and since time we don't want to talk about as Yankee fans.
Wow, this
2001,
World Series sucks for memories for us.
I remember being 3 years old watching really intently,
Yeah.
really mad, yelling, "Why couldn't Rivera
I
get the
remember
West out?"
I remember watching the Jeter documentary and yelling it.
But I don't know who I'm rooting for. I think I'm going to lean D-backs because I feel like they're a younger, more fun team, and I don't have the same confidence in them getting back as I do the Rangers possibly getting back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be rooting for the Rangers. Personally, Adolis Garcia single-handedly slaying the Houston Astros has earned my vote for the World Series winner.
Yeah. I want them both to have fun. I want a good series. I don't really care who wins.
Yeah, this was so out of left field. Talking baseball, another baseball podcast. You know, if you're watching this, I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. They had their viewers rank the top 30 teams going into the season, and neither of these two teams were in the top half. And then I saw a post on Twitter today that was like, if there was a Super Bowl this year that was the same as this World Series, what would it be? And somebody responded with Texans Falcons. I don't know if it's that bad,
No, it's
but
got to be like Chargers as like the Rangers
Mhm.
and like who's a young upstart team like the Lions?
Lions,
I don't know
Packers.
No, because the
uh,
Packers suck.
because it would have to be two teams that you had out of the top 50, like top
Yeah.
half of the league at the start of the year
So I guess
that are doing better.
Falcons,
I think Falcons are a good comp. I don't know if Texans
the
are. We'll see if
AFC
they
side. Yeah, Falcons and
like
AFC
Falcons
side.
Browns maybe.
I guess. Oh no, I think the
There's
Browns.
not a true comp, but
No,
the
there's not a
point
true
being,
comp because it's so crazy.
yeah, it's just not what anybody expected. You saw a lot of people not really happy on Twitter with this matchup.
I'm
You know,
ecstatic.
my first reaction was not happy because I root for Philly sports when my teams aren't in it. So that was like, dang, that blows. But it's gonna be fun. You know, the Astros, or the Astros, the so used to talking about them in the World Series. The Rangers have such great hitting. Adolis Garcia is just so fun to watch. Their pitching is definitely questionable at times. And for the Diamondbacks, you know, still got Gallen, that bullpen. What can they do? Is
Did you
Corbin
guys
Carroll tell
see
Marte to
what
stay hot?
Gallon was saying to Philly fans after the game?
Can see.
So, John, you saw that Philly fans were buying up tickets for the games in Arizona to not show up, right? Just have
I
empty.
did see that. I did
We
see
talked
that.
about that briefly on the last podcast. So Gallon was saying and sending pictures out to Philly fans and stuff, responding, don't forget to buy your tickets to the Phillies next game, and he's sending them Phillies spring training tickets, which
Yeah,
really funny.
yeah, really, really funny.
Now, you're talking about the Rangers. Their offense is great. Their pitching suspect, who I never would have thought the Rangers would have won a game 7 with Max Scherzer on the mound. But you
Yeah,
got playoff Monty. I mean, what type of team looks at Jordan Montgomery and says, yeah, this man can't pitch in the postseason. He's just built for it. To dig on the Yankees because that's most of the reason why they traded him,
and then they're probably going to re-sign him this offseason.
which wouldn't upset me.
It wouldn't upset me either, but of course that would be the path that they take.
Monty's a vibes guy too, so. But you talked about how your first reaction to this matchup was disappointment because you were for Philly sports. Mine was, I wish it was the Yankees. That was my first thought. Like,
So I also thought the Phillies Rangers would have been more fun in terms of a ball
yes,
goes boom World
yes,
Series.
yes. That definitely Harper, Seager, Castellanos, Adolis,
Schwarber.
Schwarber. That would have been a Simeon. That would have been a real fun series. But I think the Diamondbacks have earned it. They
Yeah.
went into the Devil's Den and knocked off possibly the team with the most rabid fan base in all of baseball.
I wish Ben was on for this because we talked either it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and I believe he said that 7 teams is too much for the playoffs.
He
I've been
did.
saying that forever.
And now a 7 seed makes the World Series. And if they win
They
it,
were not a 7 seed.
they were the last team in, were they not?
6 seed.
The Marlins were.
Yeah.
They were right there.
They were the
Well, I
sixth.
guess they got in, and then I saw the if Seiya Suzuki catches this ball, the Diamondbacks probably don't even make the playoffs.
Yeah, the Cubs falling apart in September really it's a crapshoot. You never know what you're going to get in the postseason. You just have to get there. We saw that with, again, the 2017 Yankees really showed that. The Phillies last year, I mean, everybody had them written off dead. The Nationals in 2019 when they won the World Series, they were written off in June.
Yeah, the Braves when they lost Acuna,
Yeah,
that was like it. The baseball's the most anything can happen in the playoff sport for me out of like the big three.
yeah.
The NFL, even though it's one game,
The better
typically
team.
speaking, the better team at least will make it to the Super Bowl and go on that run. For the NBA, all those 7-game series over that kind of stretch, you're not really going to stay hot. In baseball, it's week to week. And
Yeah,
that's how we got here.
baseball's a sport of streaks, and even the best players get out 7 out of 10 times. So I'm hoping that the series is fun. It goes the distance. Game 7 is great. Remember the Cleveland, Chicago 2016 World Series? That's what I'm hoping. If the Rangers are going to win this, who is it going to be on the back of? Why would the Rangers come away with this series?
Yeah, I mean, the easy answer is Adolis Garcia keeps on mashing, right? But I do think against this Diamondbacks team, you're going to need some consistent guys getting on base too. I think Seager and Simeon are going to have to set the table. We saw it versus the Phillies. The Diamondbacks are built to beat a ball goes boom team. They have the ability to get on base and steal bags, get in scoring position, make contact with the ball. Feels very Cleveland Guardians of last year. That's why a lot of people picked them to make a run. You get on base, and once you get on base, things are in motion. So I'll say Adolis Garcia's got to clean up the table, but there's got to be people on base for him. They're not going to win this World Series on solo shots if they do, and they're going to have to keep up pitching wise. Eovaldi and Montgomery are going to need to be able to go toe to toe with Gallen and Kelly.
Not much more to say. I mean, I agree with Dylan. I mean, took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, I think another thing is though. I mean, for the Rangers, I think they got to look at Scherzer to actually start coming up big. Because his last few starts, he kind of got rocked almost immediately out the gate. So I mean, you got to look for him to actually get a good start in if they have a chance at beating the Diamondbacks.
I'm going to take this at a different angle. I think their offense is their offense. I don't think that's going to change. It's their bullpen. I think that this is going to ride on. The Diamondbacks are going to get on base. They're going to hit. Starting pitchers are going to get knocked out early. Can guys like, Aroldis Chapman, Jose Leclerc, can they really get it done? Do we trust these guys in these situations? Can they keep getting it done? Leclerc has been phenomenal all postseason, but all it takes is one bad outing. Kills your confidence, kills the momentum, kills the team. So I think it's going to go down on the Rangers bullpen to be able to hold down these Diamondbacks because they're going to get on. They're going to work counts.
Aroldis Chapman could win another World Series the year after leaving the Yankees.
And what do the Yankees do whenever he does that? They re-sign him. So if the Diamondbacks are going to win, who's it going to be on? In my opinion, I think this solely hinges on their starting pitching. If Zach Gallen and the guys can get it done and hold this boomer bust team, I think the Diamondbacks can win this in 5 games, even if they can really hold the Texas Rangers offense to not much.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. They're not going to win in shootout games with Texas. Texas is too good at the plate for you to be competing as Arizona in these 9-7 games where we start creeping up on football scores. You saw that the Houston Astros in their lineup could not go to toe to toe with the Rangers. And it's no shade at the Diamondbacks, but their lineup just isn't built to score that many runs. They're built to get on base and win these closer, lower scoring games. You need Zach Gallen to be at that Cy Young level he was at the beginning of the year. You need Merrill Kelly to really be a second option, and you need that bullpen to continue to show out. The pitching has to be perfect from start to finish.
I mean, the simple they got to do. Diamondbacks got to do what they did to the Phillies the last 2 games. Just shut down their offense. They got to shut down the Rangers' offense. You need pitchers like you're assuming Gallen's gonna be good. You're assuming Merrill Kelly's gonna be good, but you need pitchers like Brandon Pfaadt to really step up there in these places. Like who he was not great for the regular season, but you need these pitchers who are doing very well in the playoffs right now to keep doing what they're doing and not falter. And you really gotta, if you can get that good starting pitch in there, and then you just gotta hold it with your bullpen, because I think when it comes down to it, I think both teams can score runs. And I just think that the Rangers, if you go that route where it's just you're seeing who can score more runs, I think the Rangers will have the Diamondbacks beat there. But I mean, if they're not getting any hits, I mean, easy for the Diamondbacks to do because they can score runs too.
So let's go around real quick the Diamond and talk about who's got the edge where. At manager, which team do we think has the edge? And I think this is a pretty obvious one.
The Rangers.
Rangers have the edge at manager. Who's got the better rotation?
It depends which version of Max Scherzer you get, but what we just saw, I'm going to go with the Diamondbacks.
I agree with you. I think you can't
Yeah.
count on Scherzer. And honestly, I think Evaldi's still a little hurt. And Montgomery, I think, is your only real guy you can trust. What about you, John? What do you think?
I think you at the Diamondbacks. I mean, you look at what their back end of the rotation's been doing in the playoffs. They've been fantastic.
How about relieving? Who's got the better bullpen?
Diamondbacks.
I think that's easy.
Diamondbacks, yeah.
Catcher? I'm going Rangers. I think Jonah Heim is a top 3 catcher in baseball.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think I'd also lean there. I like Moreno though. I think
Moreno's
he's really
good.
solid, but I think I would slightly lean Jonah Heim.
How about first base?
Christian Walker. I'll go Diamondbacks.
I'm with you. I think he needs to do a lot more than he did last series, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second base?
Right now, I'm not taking anybody over Ketel Marte.
He's been
John's
Simeon,
pulling a
like,
Phillies.
even if it's Simeon, like Ketel Marte was insane.
What was
that
his
round.
hitting streak?
It's still going.
Still going, right?
16. I no matter how many games this World Series are, I want Ketel Marte to have a hit.
Third base?
I'm gonna go Josh Young on the Rangers here. Evan Longoria a little past his prime.
It's nice though seeing him get there after 08 was his rookie year, and this is probably his last year.
Yeah.
Shortstop?
Seager.
I don't think there was a question there. Now, let's just go outfield in general. And I think outfield in general, we lean Rangers, even over Corbin Carroll.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
for sure. The more I think about it, definitely. I really like Evan Carter.
Corbin Carroll's a stud.
I know.
I just don't think anything matters more than you have the hottest hitter in the postseason, and that's Adolis Garcia.
Yeah.
So it's pretty evenly matched the way we have it. 5 go to the way of the Rangers, 4 go to the way of the Diamondbacks. Pretty evenly matched. Let's go around. Dylan, who wins? How many games? Who's your MVP?
All right. So sometimes you got to be bold. And bold isn't always picking an underdog. Bold sometimes is picking an amount of games. I'm taking the Texas Rangers to sweep the Arizona Diamondbacks. It's bold. I'm taking them to win in 4. I think this team has lightning in a bottle. I think the Astros just set fire to the forest. Adolis Garcia, Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, those guys come in absolutely hitting. Bruce Bochy's got these guys ready to go. I think Max Scherzer comes out and has a really good start for the one game that I have him playing. Montgomery, Eovaldi, and I'm not sure that it's necessarily close. Before these CSs, we weren't seeing a lot of close baseball. I don't think it's really that close. I think that the Rangers mash their way to a World Series.
John?
I think this series will go the length. I think it's going to go to Game 7, and I think the Rangers are going to pull it out there.
And
I
who's your
think
the MVP?
Adolis Garcia.
Yeah, mine was also Adolis.
So I'm going to go opposite because I'm going Arizona. I think they are the scrappy team. I think if anybody's built to beat the Rangers, it is them. I have this going 6. And honestly, I think my MVP is going to be the rookie Corbin Carroll. I think this is where he's going to shine bright. He's going to get the job done. If it's not him, it will be Ketel Marte.
You don't think it'll be Gallon? I mean, with everything that we talked about, Gallon's
Everything
got to be up there.
It is, but people love their hits. It's going to be real hard for a pitcher to ever win this award.
Yeah.
I think one of these two guys, Carroll or Marte, get that big hit in that deciding game that really swings the momentum their way. And that's why I would give it to Carroll or Marte. I'm leaning Carroll, though. Steal a base when he really needs to. Do something
Steal a
crazy.
taco for America.
American needs Corbin. But that's going to do it here. We'll be back talking more World Series. We'll know a couple games in when we come back. But that's going to do it here. Dylan Mel, John Pauline, Corey Jason signing off. Let's have a fun series, guys.
Peace.